Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. New York, you guys are losing your mind. This is going to be like way too many videos that we've had to do here at Washington Gun Law about New York. But I got to tell you, when a state decides to lose its mind and go crazy on the lawful and responsible gun owners of their state, no state quite does it like the state of New York. We've already followed many of the trials and tribulations of New York's Concealed Carry Improvement Act, but on the heels of that, we get a new Senate bill today proposed that really will raise some eyebrows. So today, we're going to spend a few minutes and talk about New York proposes its dumbest gun law yet. Okay, before we get going down the road that we are going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to you by Legal Heat. That's right, the nation's largest educator of concealed carry classes. Legal Heat has now taught over 200,000 people nationwide since they started doing this in 2005. Now listen, for my Washington viewers, you could find a class at any one of these locations right here. If you're watching from somewhere outside the state of Washington, congratulations. You're probably living much freer than we are, unless of course you live in the state of New York, but you too can find a class right close to your backyard by visiting them at mylegalheat.com. Now listen, if you find a class, no matter where you're at, and you want to sign up for it, use the promo code Washington Gun Law, that is Washington Gun Law, all one word, and you will receive 10% off that class. So for more information, visit them at mylegalheat.com. Okay, so the issue we're talking about yet again today is the state of New York, who is absolutely going completely wackadoodle here in coming up with all sorts of new ways in which they are going to disarm all of the lawful and responsible gun owners in New York, because apparently you all appear to be the problem. The latest piece of absolutely atrocious legislation to come from Albany is Senate Bill 929, S929. What does S929 do? Well, S929 would limit the amount of ammunition that you can purchase for your assault weapon. And of course, that weapon needs to be registered and all of that. Now, you can always tell when gun legislation is written by people who have no freaking clue what they're talking about, and S929 is no exception. Now, let's first start talking about the disingenuous legislative findings that New York engaged in here to propose this legislation, which I will say is not unique to New York. We've done videos about what's going on here in Washington State, and the legislative findings are atrocious. The legislative findings for S929 reads as follows. The legislation seeks to reduce the sale of ammunition capacity for assault weapons. Assault weapons are particularly lethal and have little application to the time-honored sport of hunting game. The purpose of assault weapons is assault. Unfettered purchase of such ammunition enables stockpiling and further contribute to the growing epidemic of mass shootings. Now, let us all remember that the term assault weapons is a label that was created by the gun-grabbing left, and now they want to claim that assault weapons are designed for assault. How convenient. What would this piece of legislation do? Well, and I'm going to try to keep a straight face as I try to explain this to you. What this piece of legislation does is it would limit the amount of ammunition that you can purchase for your assault weapon to no more than twice its capacity within a 120-day period. Okay, let me say that again, because I know a lot of your heads are spinning. You're like, what the hell did he just say? This legislation, if enacted into law, would limit the amount of ammunition that you can purchase for your assault weapon to no more than twice the gun's capacity over a 120-day period. The statute, the bill, if enacted into statute, would technically read as follows. The sale of ammunition for assault weapons, as defined by subdivision 22 of section 265.00 of this title, shall be limited to 2 times the capacity of an authorized weapon over a 120-day period. For purposes of this subdivision, authorized weapon shall mean a weapon registered in accordance with subdivision 16A of section 400 of this chapter. Notwithstanding any law, rule, or regulation to the contrary, the violation of this subdivision shall constitute a Class E felony. And if passed, that act will take effect immediately, okay? It's apparently an emergency that you all have in New York, and this legislation needs to be passed immediately. Now, there is more to the statute, and there are some exceptions, so I want you to understand what those read too. Sales of ammunition not prohibited. Nothing contained in this section shall be construed to prevent or interfere in any way with the sale of ammunition for revolvers or pistols of any kind, or for rifles, shotguns, or other arms belonging or which may belong to any person, whether as sporting or hunting weapons for the purpose of protection to them in their home, or as they may go abroad. And manufacturers are authorized to continue to manufacture, and wholesalers and dealers continue to deal in and freely to sell ammunition to all such persons for such purposes. Okay. So they're saying that you can still buy rifle, shotgun, and pistol ammunition, but it's just the ammunition for the assault weapons that you're going to be limited to. However, and this is a huge problem, and this is what happens when gun legislation is written by people who are completely clueless about firearms, and that's this. That if you take a look at New York's statutory definition of assault weapon, it encapsulates all of your AR platforms, all of your AK platforms, all of the pistol and rifle platforms on both of those. This is exactly what you would expect to see. It also encapsulates all of the carbines, okay? And as we know, the AR platform, whether it's an AR rifle or AR pistol platform, also encapsulates the carbine calibers, which means we can have assault weapons as defined by New York statute that are chambered in 9mm, chambered in 10mm, chambered in 357 SIG. Okay, they can also obviously be chambered in the more traditional rifle rounds. 223, 556 are some of the most common. 300 Blackout, 6.5 Creedmoor. We can go up to the larger calibers that we see in the AR-10, such as the 308 and stuff like that. So are they saying that any ammunition which can be used in a firearm, which has been defined by New York law as an assault weapon, you're limited to 2 times the capacity of that firearm over a 120-day period? And then let's take a look at what the restrictions are. How do we determine what the capacity of a semi-automatic rifle is? Take this firearm, for example. Now, a standard capacity magazine is 30 rounds for that. Does that mean that we're entitled to purchase 60 rounds of ammunition once every 4 months? Or, because New York probably has a high capacity magazine restriction, are we limited now to 10 rounds, which means the most we could buy in a 120-day period is 20 rounds, not even enough to go to the range one time? And candidly, most manufacturers do not sell rounds in 20-round boxes. The bottom line is that this piece of legislation, like every other piece of legislation that has come out of Albany since this past summer, as doing nothing but one thing and one thing only, and that is meant to frustrate and disarm the lawful and responsible gun owner in the state of New York. There is not one iota of evidence in any of these bills. These legislative findings are not supported by any iota of evidence that these laws are actually going to make a difference. Listen, New York, you are in for one hell of a year. We will try to keep you posted on this, but candidly, your state is the gift that keeps on giving for this channel. In the meantime, if any of you have any questions about this crazy piece of legislation or what's left of your Second Amendment rights, you guys all know the drill. You can always contact us here at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's everyone remember, part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.